Right, we've just got some footage of Zonda and I doing the Dragonpower event. Obviously I'm using my usual setup for this, which is the Meatwave setup but using the Rivonics. So I'm using the Commander and the Ultra 5 to reduce the cooldown of the blaster to around 5 seconds so that I can just use the Rivonics all the time with the shield. While we're watching this video, I want to talk a little bit about the balance changes that have been made to the game during this update. So yeah, if you're not aware, the new update, the Age of Dreadbolt, that's brought in some balance changes to the game. Now we don't know what these balance changes are, they're not listed, we just have balance changes. So games I've played previously, when balance changes have been brought in, they've told you exactly what those balance changes are. In this case, we'll have to try and figure that out for ourselves. So I guess that gives us something to do at least. I know quite a few people aren't going to be happy about the fact that we've just had yet another recycle battle pass, so we've still not had a new blaster. That includes myself. Having said that, I don't have the Dreadbolt, so I am going to buy the Battle Pass and unlock the Dreadbolt, so it at least has a bit of utility for me, but I am disappointed. We've not had a new blaster since they introduced the Double Crusher. That was, what, a year ago now, something like that. So the game really is crying out for new content, not just recycled content. However, depending on what these balance changes are and how significant they are, that might change the meta enough to make the game at least a bit more interesting and less stale. So the number one thing that I've noticed is that they've not fixed the Rivonics and its ability to just kind of stun lock people at their spawn point. That's still going on. Obviously that's kind of been, I'd say, the biggest complaint from the community over the year. It's still the case. However, I'm not remotely surprised that they've not fixed this issue. For one very simple reason. When they introduced the Rivonics, it was meta warping and you kind of had to buy the battle pass, so a lot of people paid for it. Now if they nerfed it to the point where it's suddenly not that good anymore, what could then happen is people would be eligible to ask for a refund, and obviously this game doesn't make much money. So as much as I really do empathise with wanting to balance the Rivonics to make the game a bit less unfair if you don't have the blaster, I can completely understand why they've not done that, why the devs have left it. And it makes sense from keeping the game alive as well, because obviously if they do something that then prompts a bunch of their players to request a refund, that might just make the game completely financially unviable and might kill it off entirely. I have previously made videos about ways I think is good to fix the Rivonics, so you can check those out if you want. They're called Ban the Rivonics and Don't Ban the Rivonics. Ultimately, I think it comes from balancing the meta with newer blasters, which again we've not had. We obviously don't know much about the dev team, so we don't know how much time that they have to put into this. We don't know how many other games that they're working on, but it's clear that they don't have that much time to put into it, and I appreciate that releasing a new blaster obviously takes a lot of time in development. They have to do a lot of testing of that, especially after what the Rivonics did to the meta. I can see that it's not good to just release something without properly testing it. So with a bit of luck, the dev teams have got a blaster in development and it's just not ready to release yet, and they've given us another battle pass just because it's taking too long. That's a very optimistic view. I don't know how realistic it is, but you know, we have to hope for something, don't we? So yeah, fingers crossed that we have got another blaster coming and it's something that will help to counter the Rivonics. In the meantime, the Rivonics hasn't been fixed, but I don't know what else has changed necessarily. That's something that we as a community are going to have to report back on as we find things. Something initial that I've noticed, I don't know if it's true, I've not been to check it out yet, and I will look at this properly in detail at some point, but it feels to me like the auto shoot range on the Rev Reaper is different. It could just be my perception being wrong, but that's something that it feels like from my perspective. Hopefully some of the less utilised blasters have been improved a bit in their stats so they can see a bit more play. It is entirely possible as well that they have tweaked the Rivonics stats, but if they have, definitely can't tell. It's still, as you can see, extremely powerful. So this is definitely one to watch. The other area that they've changed is quality of life updates. Personally, I've not noticed anything so far, but then again, you know, the update has been out for less than 24 hours, or maybe just over 24 hours, something like that. At the time of recording, can't say I've noticed anything at all, really. Have you noticed anything? If you have, let me know. One of the things that I really hope that they have changed in this, in these balance changes, is that I really hope that they fix the Ultra Strike. That's something that I've got to go and check out, because the Ultra Strike, as you've seen in many of my videos, doesn't work. So they really should have fixed that. If they've not fixed that, then what was the point? I did notice when I was playing last night that my meat wave tactic doesn't seem as consistent as it used to be. So the idea being that when you die, it resets the cooldown on your power card. I had a few times playing last night where I loaded back in from getting killed and my power cards were still on cooldown. So I don't know if they've completely nerfed that ability and taken that away. If they have, on the one hand, I can kind of see why they would do that, because it is a bit of an exploit. And is probably not how the game's supposed to be played. But on the other hand, I've not seen anybody else using this tactic at all. I've made a couple of videos about it and I use it, but I've not seen anyone else using it. And I can't say that I've particularly like warped the meta with it or anything. So if they have actually changed that, and they've changed it on the basis of my videos, that tells me two things. Firstly, that they've kind of seen the video and recognised its potential to cause problems in the metagame, and two, that they are paying at least some attention to the community. So if that's the case, I say we keep speaking out about the issues that bother us. I know the issues that are bothering most people is the lack of new content, especially those of us who've unlocked most or everything. I've still got a few things to unlock. I know other players that haven't. Right, so I just hit my shield there, and I died before the shield activated, and as you can see, it's now still on cooldown, and I get killed again. So ordinarily, that shield would have been immediately available. So that was the first time I noticed that the meat wave tactic wasn't working. Now, it could just be a glitch, but if it's a glitch, it's one I've experienced multiple times since the update, which leads me to believe that it's not a glitch, that it's by design. But if it is a glitch, I would hope that the devs will fix that, because that never used to happen. So it could be an unintended consequence of the changes they made, or it could be an entirely intentional consequence of the changes that they've made. Something else that the devs could look at that I don't think they have in a long time is adding new power cards in. New power cards, ones that, like, you know, maybe have some passive abilities, like give you immunity to stun, or you have to activate it and you've got immunity to stun for 20 seconds and a damage boost or something like that, that will give people the ability to counter the meta warping blasters like the Rivonics, without giving people the opportunity to demand refunds and potentially make the game unviable moving forward. So yeah, that's something I'd like to see, more power cards. I think some newer outfits as well. It feels like it would have been very easy to make some new outfits and include them in the new battle pass, to give people who already have the Dreadbolts something to buy the battle pass for. I mean, when they did the Rex Rampage last time, they introduced one new skin, I think, at the end. The others were recycled. But me, myself, I didn't even bother completing the last battle pass. And if you think about how long we had that battle pass available for, the fact that I didn't complete it, it's because they weren't giving us enough content to actually make me be bothered to play the game enough to unlock it. I didn't intentionally not. I wasn't going to buy the premium battle pass, but I didn't finish the free-to-play battle pass either, because when you give us nothing to play for, it kills our motivation to play the game, and people are saying this within our Discord, that they're not happy. You surely must see the drop off of your consistent players. I've certainly seen players who used to play a lot, and even those produce content like King Tony, don't seem to play much anymore, don't seem to be making videos anymore. You're killing off the motivation of the community that are trying to keep this game alive. And if it's the case that you're just paying lip service until we all drop off so you can kill the game, you might as well just be honest and tell us, and just give us a date for when the game's gonna shut down, rather than just keeping us hanging on in the hope that you give us some new content. That's my rant over for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave your thoughts in the comments. I will see you soon.